Thank you so much for your patience. I think we've got it all taken care of. And so for those of you who are just joining us, we just had an approval of our consent agenda. So now we are moving on to our district highlights. And it looks like we have a great crowd here tonight for that.
Good evening, Dr. Wimberly, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Robbins. At this time, I'll turn the podium over to Ms. Cassandra Parker, head coach of the Fort Dorchester High School State Champion Archery Team.
Good evening. The FDHS Archery Club was established in 2021 by coaches Ronson and Cassandra Parker. Since its incorporation, the club has competed in 3 state championships, 2 national championships, and 1 world championship. Last year, we were the first team from the lower state to compete in the world championship. This year, we had an undefeated season and won the 2024 South Carolina Archery in the Schools Bullseye State Championship and the IBO 3D Championship. My husband and I became the first African American coaches to win a South Carolina Archery State Championship, and Gabrielle Dolphin became the first African American archer to grace the podium. Carly Lanham and Alex Wynn narrowly missed first place finishes. Next month, the club will head to Louisville, Kentucky to compete in Eastern Nationals and hopefully earn the opportunity to compete in another world championship. Last year, the team finished 9th place in both Bullseye and IBO, the world championship. As a team, we strive to be humble, work hard, and better ourselves. Together, we are strong. At this time, please come forward as your name is called to receive your certificate and be recognized. 2024 South Carolina Archery in the Schools Bullseye State Champions, Mason Blanton. Right there. Nicholas Peters. Stay right there. Zaven Scott. Tyvaris White. '24 South Carolina Archery in the Schools IBO and 3D State Champions, Gabrielle Esquivel. Anthony Georges. And Dane Slater. The next group of students shot in both the 2024 South Carolina Archery in the Schools Bullseye State Champion as well as the IBO 3D Championship. Ahmad Abdulsalam. Riley Adams. Isadora Bynes. Gabrielle Dolphin. Zachary Dolphin. Matthew Hale. Antoinette Henryhan. Audrey Holton. Apple Jackson. Carly Lanham, Merrick Lewis, Quinn Lutz, Casey McLeod, Sarah Meach, Alex Wynn, Allison Phillips, Michaela Ray, Harsimran Virk, Gino Vitaliano, and Ty Wells. And we also have our team manager, Randon Parker, here. And our assistant coach, Ronson Parker.
Okay, moving on with our agenda, we have no public comments on agenda items this evening. And so next we have the board chair's report. And I was just going to speak briefly about a meeting that Dr. Robbins and I attended last week. I'm trying to think. So we were invited to attend a joint town, county, and Dorchester District 2 school board meeting. There were county officials, town officials, and then Dr. Robbins and I were there. It was a great opportunity because we got to listen to information coming from the county and the town, and then we were also asked to speak on a couple different items. Dr. Robbins reported on our growth, our student growth, and the impact that that is having and will continue to have on us. And then I actually spoke in regards to the situation on Green Wave Boulevard, kind of just gave some information about the concerns that we have there. I felt like it was a great opportunity because the feedback that we received, it was very positive. The support that they were offering and just the opportunity to collaborate, listen for us, but also for them to listen to us, kind of going both ways, was very positive. So I appreciated the opportunity to be a part of that, and I can let Dr. Robbins speak as well if he would like to, but I had a very good feeling coming out of it, that they want to support us, they want to work together with us, and that they are willing to help be a part of the process of finding solutions for these challenges that we are facing. So I felt good about it. Dr. Robbins, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Wimberly. It was, I felt like everybody in the room was engaged in trying to find solutions, and For us specifically, I think they understood some of the challenges we're facing. Hopefully moving forward, we have some more transparent conversations, how we can manage growth in our county and our community. And again, just speaking from the lens of education, how important that was. One of the things I shared with them was just the reminder that over 20% of the population of the entire county is underneath one of our roofs 180 days a year, whether that be students or staff members. And so how important that was to safeguard that resource. Then the final thing that I was able to participate in terms of the conversation was with Chief Wright and Deputy Sheriff Richardson on safety and what the new gun laws that were passed mean for us as a community, but also as a school district, and how we're going to continue to champion the fact that safety is our #1 priority on our school grounds. So, yeah, I enjoyed and appreciated being a part of the conversation.
Does anybody have any questions about that or comments that you want to, or anything you want to ask us? Okay. All right. Great. Yeah, we really did appreciate being part of it, and I felt very good kind of just about the teamwork that we felt in that meeting, and just moving forward, I'm hoping that we can continue to work to build those relationships. I think that's very important. I know it's a priority for all of us. So, okay, and now we will go into our board committee reports. First up, we have our policy committee. I'll turn it over to Ms. Bates.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have several policies up for second reading today. That is Policy ADF, District Wellness, CFA, School Principals, Building Administrators, CFC, Assignment and Transfer of Building Administrators, EBAB, Hazardous Materials, EBCE, School Closings and Cancellations, IHAE, Physical Education, and IHAM. So I turn that over to you for second reading.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bates. Coming from committee, we do not need a second, so do we have any questions or discussions in regards to those policies? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a vote. It's going to be electronic. Okay, and the motion carries 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you so much. Next, we have our Finance Committee. Mr. Guthrie?
Yeah, so I guess the Finance Committee was able to hold a board workshop public input, and we were given another copy of the latest budget draft, so we were on track and balanced budget, so thumbs up to all the hard work that they did. So, and then we do our presentation and draft budget to County Council on May 13th, so everybody wants to show up to that. We'd like to have the stands full, so definitely good, look forward to that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guthrie. Appreciate the update and the hard work that our finance people are doing to get our budget rolled out. I know a lot of hours are going into that. Okay, next we have facilities. Mr. Farnsworth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to make sure, I think we've got a facilities report in the super. Okay, so underneath the superintendent's report. So from our standpoint, again, we finished all of our walkthroughs. Still working with Mr. Souls to provide a meeting date to the board and for our committee to meet and finalize recommendations as far as the facilities committee goes. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think you actually are up again for the foundation. Did you want to introduce our guests?
Yeah, for sure, and thank you. I will say first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to serve on the foundation board. You know, I think back, and there's a couple of us up here that remember when we started the foundation, and not really knowing the stars we would reach, if you will, with our foundation, and of course it takes a good while. The ramp-up period was long and arduous, and a few executive directors later, we have landed on Mr. Hayes, who I've asked to speak with tonight. And I just want to say to that board, to that Education Foundation Board. I know, again, many of us have served on that board. Unbelievable, just working power. What they do, the advocacy behind the scenes that they're doing for us as a school district is unparalleled. And so to that board, to Ralph, you know, again, everyone here hopefully knows that Ralph sits on the National Foundation Director Board. What a huge win for Dorchester District 2. And so we had asked Ralph to just give us a few words tonight, let us know what's going on with the foundation. I think we've broken some records this year, so I'm super excited to hear from you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Farnworth, Madam Chair Wimberly, members of the board, Superintendent Robbins. Excited for the platform to be, like you said, able to share some updates of things that we have going on in the foundation. And just to run through those real quick, we'll end with the big event since that was the most recent. But the first thing we wanted to talk about were the Bosch Best Teacher Grants. So these are facilitated by the Bosch Community Fund, and they execute those grants in communities where they have a manufacturing facility or a footprint. So we're very fortunate for our partners and the facility that we have on Dorchester Road. And the first year that I took the position, we were awarded 10 grantees throughout the schools for $13,000. And I was like, hey, that's great. How many can we get? And they said, well, how many can you get to write them? And I said, well, I don't know. Are you going to give me a limit or not? And they said, just try to get some more, Ralph. So we're excited about growth that we've seen in those over the last few years. So we went in 2022 from 13,000 to 38 grantees for $76,000 last year. So that was a huge jump that we made there. And then this current year, we were awarded 69 grants for $137,000. Now, those grants, all of that applause goes directly to the teachers in the classroom. So my role in this is to be a champion and support facilitation and to work with our wonderful public information office to help advocate, push, make people know the process, support that, help them along the way. But those grants are actually written by classroom teachers for things that are going to go directly into their classrooms to support what they're doing each day. In addition to those, the foundation does write a district-wide grant each year for Bosch. And over the past 3 years, we've gotten just north of $70,000 in those grants that we've been able to execute. So we're really thankful for the growth in that, for our partners with Bosch and the Bosch Community Fund, and look forward to continuing to grow that to get more resources directly into the classrooms. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was having the opportunity to be able to present at the National Association of Education Foundations Impact Ed Conference. So this is a national conference of education foundations from all over the country. We actually had 2 foundations from the state of Alaska that did not know each other, which we thought was kind of a neat scenario. But we specifically presented on the rebranding and pushing of our employee giving campaign. Now, a lot of teachers and a lot of people in this room were here a few years ago when that campaign first went out, and it was a year that was financially challenging with no cost of living increase, no step increase, and then we said, hey, by the way, give us some money. And it really didn't go over well, and I completely understand, but what we've really tried to do is revitalize it to where it's a fun and engaging and exciting thing to be a part of, so that we're empowering people in the schools to want to be a part of the journey that we're on, and letting them know that they can contribute to what we're doing for a little bit each pay period. And it is so humbling. We have every type of employee that gives into that, from board members who are up here to district administrators here, all the way down to custodial staff, after-school staff, and of course our wonderful teachers and educators. So we're so thankful that we've been able to revitalize that and make people excited to give to that. Small plug, we also give away $500 a month to somebody who's in that. That does not come from the funding that is generated from that. We get a sponsor to sponsor that every month to do that. And we've talked about next year having some branded T-shirts and some different things that we're going to do. But our friend from Rock Hill, who runs a sister foundation to us up there in that school district, we co-presented on it. And we had the session ready for 36 attendees, and we ended up with over 50. So it was a good hit. So we were excited about that. And then finally, transitioning into the big event, thank you to everyone for your advocacy, your kind words, your support. We're really thankful that in a community with so many strong nonprofits and so many great events, that we've really been able to carve out a part of the sector and really give our event a unique identity and feel and really energy every year. And just some of the overall numbers, we had over 425 ticket sales for people who came between sponsors and general admission guests. We had a revenue record in sponsorship sales that was led by our presenting sponsor, our friends at Scout Boats, so thank you to them. But one of the great things about our sponsors is we had sponsors as big as Boeing, and we had sponsors as low as one employee organizations. And every type of industry and background of business that there is. So we're really proud of that people from different industries and different walks of life want to be a part of what we're executing. And then overall, between the ticket sales, the sponsorships, and the games and activities that we have, we raised over $177,000 in gross sales that night, which is a record for what we've done. So we were very thankful to be able to do that. That helps us generate funds that we're able to utilize throughout the whole school year to support educators in our buildings. And again, just thank you so much to those in the room and those on the stage who have helped advocate for that and help grow that. And I'm happy to answer any questions or entertain any comments or anything that comes up.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Hayes, for that amazing report and those fantastic numbers. I think, first of all, we should give you another round of applause for your outstanding work.
For the big event specifically, I cannot stand here and tell you that is not an absolute team effort. We have an event chair, Jen Limehouse, who was a former board member of the foundation, who literally works on the event all year long and provides thousands of dollars of in-kind services, from flower arrangements and planning and event coordination. And then the board that we have, several of them take several days off that week leading up to the event to try to transform the space that we're at. So it truly, I certainly appreciate being the face and the focal point, but it is by far a large group effort to make that happen. And I'm so thankful for all of them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree and appreciate that. Just from my time on your board, I 100% know that you have some very dedicated individuals who are passionate about the foundation and passionate about education and passionate about this district. And so we are so fortunate to have them and to have your leadership as well. I think we also should say thank you to all of our teachers who are taking the extra time to write those grants, because we all know that they have so much on their plates. So thank you to them, but also to you and your team for getting that out there and spreading the word on that, because just, sharing the communication is an important piece of that as well, I know.
I appreciate that feedback. And one of the things as far as the growth for the grants specifically is we have been very candid and upfront about the fact that we don't want it to always have to be a traditional classroom teachers. Several of those Bosch Best grants were written by kindergarten teacher assistants or special needs adult supports or media special assistants. So we're very proud of the fact that we're providing resources not only to the certified teachers, but also a lot of times to the other positions that are giving their time and effort each day as well.
Again, I think it speaks to the people who are just so passionate about our students and our district in our schools. And so we're very fortunate to have that. And also thank you for your leadership and the presentation, which sounds like it was a lot of fun. I was just reading about it. Sounds like you had a good time with that. So we're very grateful for all you and your team do. So thank you for that. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Hayes? Or
I don't have a question, but I do have a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
Please make sure you include the bull ride from now on. That was one of the best.
So,
And I want to challenge our superintendent to ride that bull next year.
there may have been a mechanical bull at the big event this year. It was Western themed. And so, yeah, that was a hit. I don't know if it'll fit next year's theme, but we might find a way to incorporate something. But we always want it to be fresh, right?
I will say
But
the
yeah, I did
theme
not
was
see
very
Dr.
fun.
Robbins up there.
Yeah, it was of all I've been. I don't know that I've missed a big event yet, but that was by far my favorite theme. It was really a lot of fun. Yeah, I enjoyed the evening too. So, thank you.
I just echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. We appreciate you, your leadership, your team, the foundation, all you do so much. You're wonderful. Everybody that you work with is wonderful, and we're so grateful for everything you guys do. So,
And I do just want to say, sometimes it's almost this sense of, wow, like all I'm sharing is positive things. But guys, when we give those teachers those grants and they're overwhelmed for getting $600 to be able to buy Lego kits for their kids or something, you really, I mean, it gives you chills to understand the difference that we can make. So please, advocacy is free. Anytime you can support people knowing about what we do or how they can help support our teachers in the classroom, we greatly appreciate it, because ultimately that's what it's all about, is giving back to the teachers and the students that they serve.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, good luck following that, Dr. Robbins.
Well, I would say 99.9% of the time I never want to follow Ralph Hayes because he's full of cheer and giving, and I usually have like the facts and the not so fun stuff. But along the lines of what he shared and the fact that we understand that this place is special because of the people that are here. The first thing that I want to share with the board tonight as a recommendation is just a small demonstration of that. We all know how restricted we are with our budget, and we know how poorly funded we are as a school district. But the one thing that the board challenged us to do is to try to sharpen our pencils and figure out every way we could try to invest into our staff. What I will tell you is as we get closer with our budget cycle, this was the second presentation tonight, it will be a historic raise for our staff. It'll be a raise like they've never seen before, and it's going to be a challenge to get to that point, but it's a challenge that we're going to accept and assume. But before we even get to the salary piece, and we bring that to you later on in the budget season, I do have a signing bonus longevity stipend. It's not as large as the one we had last year. If you recall, last year we paid that out of our ESSER funds, and it's something we'll relook at every single year. It's hopefully something that we'll be able to provide our employees and use it as a recruiting incentive. The one thing I do want to put at the bottom is on item number 4 under assumptions, is that I will bring this to the board annually to determine bonuses based on availability of funds. And so what we've done this year is we've put it into 3 tiers for the length of time you've been in the district for the longevity stipend, and then we've stayed with the same number that we used last year for our certified teacher and special ed teacher recruiting bonus incentive. So I have that before you tonight as a recommendation. Happy to try to answer any more further questions on that.
Madam Chair, I would absolutely make a motion to accept the employee signing bonus longevity stipend as presented by Dr. Robbins.
All right, thank you. We have a motion from Mr. Farnsworth. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Bates. Any questions or discussion?
So I'll kick that one off for sure. You think about no-brainers, right? And what we, as a board, what we're able to do and what we're able to say to our educators, not even just to our educators, but to when I say educators, I include every single person in our school district. But in a very tangible way that we're able to say thank you, even if that's in the smallest form of a signing bonus, of a longevity stipend. I think it's something that we absolutely, we have the funds for it. You know, we have these funds available in our general fund. It does not put us below any thresholds. There's no concern there. And I will go back to that's because, and I look over at Ms. Meunier, Dr. Robbins, and your teams, because of wise accounting practices, we've been able to build that up to a point where we're able to do this again. And so I just want to say thank you for bringing this to us. It's important. Again, it's not, we really do, we understand it is not all about pay. There's a lot to the puzzle when it comes to our educators and making sure we have the best people in our school district. But we also understand it's about pay. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to it. And so again, so this is a very tangible way, the smallest token of appreciation that I think we can do as a school board. So I just want to say we appreciate you, thank you, and look forward to dispersing this out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Anyone else?
No, I share the same sentiments as my co-board member over here, Mr. Farnsworth. I think it's just, you know, something we've all talked about. It's a huge priority to us to not only let the people we have now know how much they mean to us, how much we value them, but all with these bonuses, but also in looking, as Dr. Robbins touched on, the salary scale. So that's also going to be a really important component of this as well as we go through the budget process. But definitely, I look forward to approving this so that come signing day, we can show our employees how much they mean to us and that we really, really do value them.
Okay. Yes, I think we all agree that this is an important step. We appreciate Dr. Robbins presenting this to us. We also know it is not the only thing that is going to be happening this budget season. I think we had some great discussions already, and in our meeting, our finance meeting before this. So there'll be more good news coming, but I do think this is a good step. And I think we also have the teacher and staff retention task force that is working to come up with ideas as well. And so we will continue ahead with that. And again, as I think my other board member said, this is just one piece of the puzzle. It's an important one, but you know, please know that we're talking about doing as many things as we can to show the people in this district how much we appreciate what you do every day. So, okay. Well, then at this time, if we have no other comments or questions, we will call for the vote. Okay, and the motion carries unanimously, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you, Dr. Robbins.
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks again to the board for supporting this effort. You all know how important our people are, so thanks again. The next thing I have tonight is a referendum update. And so if we could go ahead and go to the next slide. No, that's not it. Back one. That's not working. I wanted the countdown clock to be up there on how close we are to this. So just an update on the referendum. The election is on May 14th. The absentee deadline is Friday, May 3rd by 5 o'clock. You can get more on the referendum. Again, just as a reminder, if you go to dd2.org/referendum, and just some notes and reminders that this is not a request for a millage increase. All buildings in our district are going to receive some type of upgrade, specifically safety upgrades And the biggest issue that we're really addressing here is the increase in our enrollment. And if you scroll down a couple slides for me, one more. And so on this slide right here, you've seen this before. It's interesting, when we started the year, our predictive enrollment was that we would be at 26,133 students. I had been asked a few weeks ago if I would include it in my SOUP updates on what our current enrollment is. As of today, we're at 26,896 students. So we have already outpaced our expected enrollment growth by 780 some students. We've even grown 5 students since Friday. And so we are growing. And at this time of the year, if you've been in education for any length of time, you know that enrollment doesn't typically continue to increase this time of year. So we are growing 10 to 15 students every week, even though that we're at the end of the school year. So again, there's a good chance we'll eclipse 27,000 students before the end of the school year with the amount of construction that's taking place. So again, I just share that to show the critical nature that we have in terms of the need for this referendum.
I also just want to notate that early voting dates begin April 29th through May 10th.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that update, Dr. Robbins. And then before we move on to our next thing, could we just go back to, I apologize, to the bonus? And do we have a date on when that might be, or an estimate of when that might be available for our employees?
I'm going to yield to the finance department because it really depends on payrolls,
Sure.
ability.
Just an idea,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Can we say before the end of the fiscal year, so in June? So then we can get the right count for who have signed
Perfect. So
their contracts.
June. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You might as well just stay there.
I would say later, but I don't think later is better. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Robbins. Tonight we're presenting our financial reports through May 31st of 2024. The first report you'll see on your left is our balance sheet, which includes our assets, liabilities, and our fund balance. At this time during the year, our assets are at $95.6 million, and you can see where we had our investments have grown. At this time during the year, right after we've received our property tax revenue, we look very healthy, but we know we'll be using those tax revenues during the year. We won't receive them again, usually, after the March 31st period, except for our vehicle taxes. So mostly we have collected all of the real property taxes. Our liabilities are right on track with where they were. We show the comparison with last year. And then our fund balance, which we'll talk about on our cash flow analysis, talk about our fund balance, where we are now and moving forward. So the report that's on the right there on that screen is our revenues and expenditures and changes in fund balance. Again, we have the comparison with the 24 and 2023. As we were just talking about, our local taxes through the end of the year, through March 31st are at $61.7 million. What's mainly left outstanding at this time is our fee in lieu, which is included in that top budgeted line item, and we don't usually receive that until June. Our investment earnings, wow, we went up last year in our budget, incredible amount, and we're still receiving a large amount of interest income that we did not anticipate, there we go. So we are 390% over budget right there. We did increase in the FY25 budget to capture some of that interest income. Right now we're earning 5.5% on our LGIP account out of Columbia, and that's great. I remember a time when we were at 0.5 in our LGIP account. All of our other state revenues are coming in on time, so our total revenues through the end of March are at $204.5 million. Our expenditures, we show the ideal percentage that at this time of the year, you will have spent everything. You will have spent 75% of your expenditures, ideal remaining percentage of 25%. The first line item under expenditures for instruction, under instruction and instructional support are typically the contracts that run through July that we accrue back for teachers into this fiscal year. So it shows a little bit higher. So we're doing well on there. It's not going to be a savings because we will spend out that money. So on the next report is our cash flow analysis, where you can see where we will be spending out that money that we were talking about. So the columns that are, we're almost through the end of this year already, good grief. So April, May, and June are our forecasted numbers. Everything else are showing actual for each month. So for the month of March, we are ending our year, pardon me again, we're ending the month with a cumulative fund balance amount, if you can see 87.4, which is at the top of the April. That's where we're ending our fund balance. Again, we will be using that money as we go through April, May, and June because our revenues will again exceed our expenditures, as you can see by the negative amounts for our monthly deficit and gain. But that's the timing of our revenues versus our expenditures. We only get those revenues at one time of the year. So at the we sort of touched on this when we were talking at the in the budget workshop, that we anticipate for our projected fund balance to be $62.1 million, which leaves us at 23.3% at the end of the year. The board's projected amount that they wish to keep is 18%, which 18% of our projected next year's budget will be $52.2 million in fund balance. So that gives us a little wiggle room right there of $10 million to utilize to still stay within our 18%. Keep in mind, we want to use that money for the $2 million or $2.9 million that you just approved. Thank you very much. And then also for the 4.6 that was in the projected budget for next year. Those amounts will come out of that $10 million gap. So we still have some room before we get down to the 18%, which is wonderful. So you can see the three columns to the on the far left, we have our general fund budget, what our year-to-date actuals were, and then where we are projecting over and under in our revenues and our expenditures. We had predicted to go below, we had predicted to use $4.4 million of our fund balance, and we won't need to use that much of our fund balance, so that's nice for this current year. So those are all the financial reports through the end of March for your presentation tonight. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, before the board asks you any questions, I just want to say the general fund cash flow report is very helpful. We've been able to use that as we've looked at your budget for the upcoming year and working with the finance department and the team on developing a plan to increase salaries. So again, being able to look out into the future and see where we are, again, has been beneficial, and I appreciate the support in getting us those numbers and having the good discussions that we've had.
I actually had a question. So looking at our food service fund balance.
Oh, yes, I didn't talk about those numbers.
Oh, that's okay. Well, it's on there. I just was going to ask about, so is there, it seems like we're carrying a lot of money in that account. Is there a reason that we keep it so high?
Actually, we have intended on spending some of that for equipment, and we have a 3-year plan with that. We've run into some problems with supply chain, with being able to purchase those large pieces of equipment and getting them delivered to us. So we do have an equipment 3-year plan in place.
Is that something, what are there like limitations to what we are allowed to spend that money on, or is it?
Yes, so
Yes.
those are federal dollars, and you're allowed to spend it directly on the nutrition program.
On
But we
nutrition.
can spend it on equipment to replace items that need to be replaced in the cafeterias, the tables, for salaries and benefits, of course, for our food service management company who we are outsourced with, directly related to that program.
Could we ever utilize that money to maybe increase the cost we pay to increase the quality? Because I know there's different tiers of, what you're paying out. So is that, if we notice that that's something we're residually accruing additional monies in, could we pay out more to basically go to the next tier on the quality of?
Yeah, and I just, and I don't know specifically with our Sodexo contract what it looks like, but I know with most of those contracts, that's just a renegotiation
It's
of
a
the
fixed amount.
contract of what you want. And then just looking at the bottom line to make sure we are always keeping enough money in that balance in the event that we have equipment issues, because the equipment is very expensive. But yes, we can definitely look at that. Yeah.
We're on a fixed meal contract right now, fixed meal cost.
Okay, does anybody else have questions or comments? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the finance report as presented for information only? Okay, thank you, Ms. Hughes. And a second by Ms. Powell. One more chance for questions or comments. Okay. If you will please vote on that. Okay, motion carries 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're up. You're up.
Good evening. I'm going to try to do my very best to stand in for Mr. Souls, which that's a very difficult thing. He is getting a well-deserved vacation, so I hope he's doing good. Tonight, I'm just going to give you an update on the facilities, where we are with some projects that we're going with. Right now at Span and Knightsville, the lighting upgrade at 95% is complete at Span. The HVAC duct cleaning in progress at Span. Lighting upgrade is in progress at Knightsville. HVAC equipment has been purchased and contractor is receiving equipment and it will become available. Project completion for Span will be for Knightsville will be August 15th. Partial roofing replacement for Gregg, buildings 100 and 700 and Span, preparing bid documents to be advertised by the end of April. Estimated completion date will be August 24, and that comes from the 8% funds. Fort Dorchester Media Center to Kate conversion. The contract has been awarded. The media center move to the new media center will be mid-May, and once that work is complete, we'll commence on redoing the old media center to Cape, and that is also 8% money. Sandhill Elementary portable classrooms. We did get some bad news last week. They have pushed our delivery date for our mobile classrooms or learning cottages to late June, so we're hoping we can get them in and Mr. Souls can work his magic and we can get them up and running as fast as possible. So that was not good news, but they are coming. We got bumped on somebody jumped in with 400 mobile order and our little 2 mobiles got kind of pushed back. But so we got that cleared and we're headed down the street with that. Sandhill Elementary Wing addition. Architects are updating the drawings that we're using the same plans as Eagle Nest. So they're updating the codes so we can bring that forward. The Community Learning Center demolition is underway, and we should be done with that renovation by June 15th. Bus maintenance facility at Oak Brook, working with an architect firm and transportation staff to design a much-needed maintenance facility where our folks can be inside while they're repairing buses. Oak Brook Middle addition, design documents nearing completion. We've met with the faculty and got input, so the next step will be OSF review. And Oak Brook Elementary addition, designs in progress for a 10,000 square foot, 10 classroom addition. That will be used with Oak Brook TIF. Greenway Boulevard sidewalk, the survey is nearing completion. A plan view update and discussion will occur before issuing final drawings. Elementary school at the Ponds, due diligence survey has been completed. Architects are updating the latest plans for the middle school, elementary school that we've built several times, and that the traffic study is on the way. Any questions? And that me and Mr. Farnsworth and Ms. Hughes got to visit a lot of good schools, so we'll have a report coming very soon on our
Do you
visits.
know offhand what design we're using for the ponds? Is
We're
it
using the
Sire's Pie?
Sire's Pie, Windsor Hill. I mean, we should be really good at that. We know all the, we've had several runs, so we should really be able to pull that one in.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Farrell. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, board members, we have our personnel report next. And I believe everyone received that information in their packets. If you are okay with it, we will proceed with voting on that at this time, minus the last three included in the packet. We will do that after we return from executive session. So if at this time we could have a motion, if everyone is okay with it, to proceed with approving the classified and certified recommendations and resignations.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions, discussion? Okay, this time we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you very much. Okay, and additionally, we also have a couple student enrollment recommendations that were also included in our packet. If everyone is okay with doing that in open session, we will proceed with that as well. Okay, do I have a motion? Motion made by Mr. Farnsworth, seconded by Ms. Bates. Any questions or discussion? Okay, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 6 in favor, 1 absent. All right, and at this time, we are at our public comments for non-agenda items. And this evening, we do have one public comment, Mr. Ken Greenstreet. There he is. Come on down.
Good evening. I'm here again tonight to speak up for the Constitution. The Constitution is under an ever-increasing attack. The fervor for which people come to these meetings to debate which books should or should not be in school libraries is absent when it comes to demanding students actually read and study the Constitution. The very document that gives the people the right to stand up in America and yell "Death to America" is being disregarded. It is as if people believe those freedoms will always be here. This happens in a society when generations grow up with the most freedoms ever experienced by any people in the history of the world. People who have never been hunted by a foreign army on their home soil suddenly believe they know a better way. My daughter graduates from Ashley Ridge High School in May, having never read the entire Constitution while in school. There are growing calls that the Constitution needs to be abolished because the Founding Fathers were racist slaveholders, and therefore the Constitution and the government it created is systemically racist. I have 2 questions for anyone that may think this way. First, if the Founding Fathers were racist slaveholders, why did they set the course for the abolishment of slavery and not instead enshrine slavery as legal in the Constitution? Second, what would have happened if 5/5 of the slave population had been used for representation as Georgia and South Carolina wanted, instead of counting 3/5 of the total slave population? I submit to you that slavery may have lasted well into the 20th century. I started coming to these meetings several years ago because a school administrator told me I was not an expert in teaching and essentially to leave teaching to teachers. I have 3 college degrees, but that means nothing here. All one must do is look at the product that schools across the country produce to see schools are failing the country. One problem that no one seems to want to address is unruly students who are a product of broken homes and parents failing to fulfill their responsibilities to instill even a little respect for authority in their children. I recently asked 2 young men what freedoms were afforded them in the First Amendment. I was taken back when I was asked, what is an amendment? They were familiar with freedom of speech and religion, but did not know those are in the First Amendment, or even more importantly, why they are in the Constitution. I served 21 years in the United States Air Force. One person after another, including college graduates, could not name the 5 freedoms enshrined in the First Amendment. The Constitution, like a framed but unfinished home, is simply a framework for a government. How the home, or the country, looks after it is finished depends on how Americans, informed or not, vote. And finally, a Medal of Honor recipient killed in 2018 while serving in Afghanistan went to Somerville High School. Do you know his name? Memorial Day is approaching. His life and service might be a good thing to talk about in DD2 high schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenstreet. Okay, at this time, I need a motion to convene into executive session for personnel-related matters.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Ms. Hughes. Any questions, discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Anticipate it. Okay, motion carries 6 in favor, 1 absent. We are in executive session and we will return. to convene into open session, please.
So moved.
Oh, okay. Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions, discussion? Okay. We will, all in favor? Okay, 6 in favor and 1 absent. Motion carries. So we are in open session. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the personnel recommendations as presented in our packet.
Okay.
Do I
Motion
have to
made by.
specify the three that we didn't vote on? So-
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Motion made by Ms. Bates. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will, I think, probably be voting by hand. So all in favor? 6 and 1 absent. The motion carries. Thank you very much. And at this time, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. Motion carries. We are adjourned.